to Beyond the Ring, a podcast that covers all things in the stock show industry from the informative to the insane. Starring Ryan Rash.
Trust gets you killed, love gets you hurt, and being real gets you hated. The end.
And Dale Hummel.
In the words of the Uniter, what a stupid son of a bitch.
Now on with the show.
Welcome to Beyond the Ring. This is Dale Hummel, along with co-star Ryan Rash.
Hello, hello, hello.
Ryan, we are going to honor the request we've had from some of our listeners. There is going to be a Beyond the Circus recorded this week.
Yeah, I don't think this is a good idea at all, personally.
Why?
Just warning y'all, y'all getting what you asked for, but I know what this crazy man's going to talk about on it. Y'all aren't going to like it. But anyway.
We've needed to do one of these. I know scheduling hasn't allowed, but we're going to we always say we're going to try to do more of those, and we end up doing less. But we're going to do one this week.
I don't want to talk about Biden for an hour. Can sum it up real quickly. He's a dumbass.
He is.
And he's ruining the country and the world. Okay, Beyond the Circus is done. Yay!
Because we're having a Beyond the Circus. It is not done. We're going to keep our current events pretty short, but I have to get this little rant off my chest, Ryan. And it refers to, yes, Mr. Biden's mental capabilities. Let's forget all about...
There are none. End of sentence.
I want to forget all about all the gaffes. Those are gone. Let's forget about him walking like an old, feeble person that you know is just not there. Let's forget about it. Again, not his fault. Just maybe shouldn't be the president when you're in that state. Let's forget about all of the things that he tries. Let's forget he hides from the press. He will not take questions and answer off the cuff very often. Now, he did have a press conference that I assume we'll maybe touch on in Beyond the Circus. Let's forget that he's micromanaged by Oz and the rest of his staff. So get rid of all those. And those are some bad things. Forget all about that. Let's think about and just listen to his statement and what he says about inflation and the statement that he made challenging one of the reporters in the press conference. Can you tell me of another president that's accomplished more in their first year? Those two statements alone should tell people he's not living in the same world we are. He just isn't. And there are so many examples of him having issues. I don't know how he's still physically president.
He's still the president. He's going to be there for 3 more years at least.
I don't think it's possible.
Where you think he's going?
I don't know. And I don't know that I want the chameleon to be in there because she would like to be
reelected
at some point. Well, wait a minute. Did you not hear that Joe and her are running for reelection as a parent?
And did you not hear that MSNBC did a poll that said 62% of the Democratic Party do not want him to rerun again?
I cannot imagine that they'll honestly be on the ticket. Can you?
No. Her, maybe. Him, no.
There is no way that with her disapproval ratings, there's no way they're...
I still don't see how her disapproval ratings are worse than his when she does nothing.
I don't know. But I'm telling you, they're better off keeping him hidden. Do not allow him to speak to anyone. I know they catch criticism for it, but it's far worse when they let him out of the box.
So, yeah, I can sum this whole Beyond the Circus up real easy. Joe Biden got elected president of the United States because he was likable. He is no longer likable. No one likes him. Another poll, and it was not Fox, and it was not, maybe a CNN, I can't remember. Another poll, he is underwater on his likability. And that's what he used to be huge in, like in the 70s. And now it's like
Uncle Joe.
Low 40s. Uncle Joe, yeah. He's no longer likable. There you go.
He is verified senile, mentally incapable of processing anything. And right now on the world stage, it is a mess. But we're going to stop because we're recording a Beyond the Circus here in a couple days. Ryan, we're going to end the current events right here. What do you think? Done.
Well, you were the one that talked for 3 minutes, not me.
Yeah, you are correct.
You just can't help yourself.
It's over and we're done. We're shutting it down.
Sure.
Before we get into the main topic, you heard me speak about this last week, Ryan.
Okay, before you talk about your boyfriend, Mr. Boxall's newest product, that is the latest, ravest thing.
It is the best.
I have to state something here. So
what?
We had a point update. We are working on getting BTRJLA shows updated through May. on the website this week. We are never going to put the entire full calendar up at a time. That's a waste. We're always going to be months ahead. But I need to talk to my BTRJLA members and, more importantly, their parents for just a second.
Would you like my assistance, or you got this?
No, I've got this. So we are very excited. Y'all are obviously excited. All this is going well. There are so many shows that have sanctioned. I'm going to tell you, I sent a copy of every sanctioning form that I have received up until yesterday to our website lady, Reagan, and it was $23 to mail that. That's a lot of paper, people.
It's a lot of paper.
Okay? There's lots of shows. I understand that not every show in America is sanctioned. I am going to state again, I have made this as simple as I possibly can. It is a form that takes about 5 minutes to fill out, and then you email the results. I cannot contact every show in America and ask them to be BTRJLA sanctioned. I can't. I can do lots of things, people. I cannot do that.
You could contact a lot of them.
I have, and I will continue to. But because points are going up and all this other stuff and people are getting really excited, now they're like, we're going to this show and they're not sanctioned. Fix it. I can't fix it all. I cannot fix all of it. This is where I need y'all's help. You call that show. You email that show. You text that show. Say, hey, we are BTRJLA members. We are coming to this show. It is free to sanction. All you have to do, and like, if you're at the show when you do this, guys and gals, if you're at the show, just tell them to email me the results with the name and the location of the show. They don't even have to fill out a form. The form is for two reasons. So they can be on the BTRJLA calendar, so our members can know which ones are sanctioned or not. But you can get them to send the results with their show information after the show right there. I don't even need a form. But that's all I can do.
That's pretty simple.
I'm telling you, I cannot contact every show in America and ask them and explain to them that it's free. All you have to do is all this. I can't do it. So instead of being frustrated or upset that every show isn't sanctioned, contact those shows that you're going to. Contact them in advance. Everybody knows that they're going to hit certain shows throughout the year. Start now. Help us out. Please help us out. We want every show you go to be sanctioned. I cannot do it by myself. Thank you.
Even though I like you getting bombarded and the stress that it causes you, I find entertainment value in it. I do believe this is very simple, and there is no charge. There is nothing difficult about it. And even if Ryan had time or I had time to contact these shows, which is impossible. Have we reached out to some? Absolutely, and we'll continue to do that. But it is simple. When you approach them as a member, as a parent of a member,
it means a lot more than it comes from me and you.
Oh, it does. And
because they're the ones paying the money at the entry fees at that show, not me and Dale.
You explain to them it doesn't cost anything. All you literally have to do is fill out the form if you'd like, or just send the results. I don't know what the downside is. We're not trying to steal other points, state point shows, or we're not changing anything anybody's doing. It's just extra. It's extra recognition for the youth in the stock show industry. That simple. And there are a pile of awards, a pile of them.
We are going to continue to contact shows, and there's a lot of people that are contacting us about a certain deal right now. And I have told all those people, Dale has reached out. I have reached out. We're not getting a response.
I have full faith that they're going to sanction the shows. There's no reason not to. So I'm sure we need to continue to reach out to make sure that we get their results. It'll be simple.
We are trying very hard on that. I understand that affects a very large section of our membership, and we are trying. But I can't hold a gun to people's head and make them do it, folks.
I have faith that they will get it all taken care of. We'll get the results.
Okay, now back to your boyfriend, Mr. Boxell, and his new product.
The Boxell Chiller made its second debut at the Fort Worth Stock Show. Went over extremely, extremely well. Reviews off the charts. Ryan, my concern now, and I'm going to try to look out for myself here just a little bit. I have one on order.
Imagine that.
And it's still pretty cold here in Illinois. As I look out the window, it's It's bad. It's in the single digits. It's not real windy today, thankfully, but it is cold. So I don't need it just yet. But by the time we hit spring and summer and we're going to be hitting shows, whether it be with cattle or goats, I am going to have that with me at every show. So I hope I don't get pushed back.
I am not involved in the bromance that you and Mr. Boxell are in, but I am going to request at least 2 for my heifer, Jessica Rabbit. I don't care about
2.
your goats.
I only ordered 1.
Well, I
One.
need 2. She's a very special heifer.
Well, while we're on that, we're progressing into the main topic right here, and the title of that is On the Hunt.
Yeah, well, you didn't finish promoting your Boxell chiller, sir.
No, yeah, we did. We argued about how many we should have for the heifer, and it only takes 1, but we can get 2. We can do that. And Boxell Manufacturing, again, thank you for the sponsorship. That's what this is all about. That's why we're doing this, and your sponsorship helps us continue to do what we do. Thank you. Okay. On the hunt.
Stop.
On the hunt.
Why are
What?
you
What?
so demanding today?
I have a sale going on as we speak. My phone's blowing up with texts. I'm not answering people. They're thinking, what is going on? There is a little bit of urgency today.
Your sale. Okay. So I just want to give a shout out to one of our BTR JLA sponsors, one of our national sponsors, the national cattle sponsor, and that is Langford Cattle. This family was the very first person to contact me when we announced in August that we were having this thing, and there's like, what can we do to help? So I really, really appreciate them. Langford Cattle, the goal is to raise and sell the very best Herefords, hybrids, Maine, and Angus cattle available. Family owned and operated since 1917. They have built the best in quality, quantity, and customer service. Langford Cattle is the nation's largest private treaty cattle producers, and they invite you to the ranch anytime. Thank you, Langford Cattle, for being our national cattle sponsor for BTR JLA. Okay, now you can go.
Thank you. Back to the main topic, On the Hunt.
Yes.
And this main topic was actually suggested by Mr. Boxell. I was going to take credit for it, and then Ryan puts it up on social media that I'm trying to
Because
steal
I
the
am
topic.
an honest person.
Oh my. Mr.
Unlike
Boxell didn't even want credit for it, I don't think.
No, I did not want credit for it, but I didn't want
No,
you to
Mr.
steal credit
Boxell
for
didn't.
it.
No, he didn't want credit for it. So if we
That's
just wouldn't have said
because
anything.
you and Mr. Boxell are way too involved with each other, and he wanted you to have credit for something that you did not deserve credit for. So I had to rectify the situation.
And I don't even know if this one works for me. I am not a very good storyteller.
Okay, so On the Hunt is basically, he thinks that we should tell stories about finding livestock, and Dale says that he is a terrible storyteller and he doesn't have any stories. Ben, I'm gonna give Dale a pass here. I'm gonna say there's probably a little truth to that, because all the stories that Dale has told me about this involve like sitting on a bed truck and watermelon and like singing spirituals and Bible verses, and nobody wants to hear any of that. I'm just saying.
I love it. I love it. I have a
But-
couple, and I'll attempt, but it just
Okay, we'll let you start, sir.
Well, I want to go back to your Jessica Rabbit. I don't think people probably understand what you're talking about there. And I this wasn't a story, but it's
My heifer.
It's kind of developed into a story. So
My heifer.
a couple months ago, we decided that we were going to try to find a Red Angus heifer. First off, to make as a foundation donor kind of female in our program, and secondly, for our younger daughter to show if we so choose. Well, Ryan and I coordinate to go to Duff Cattle Company on the same day, and we find a heifer that shockingly we both agree on the same animal.
You're leaving Craig out of this.
No, I know I'm bringing him in. No, I am bringing him in right now. And then to take it further, our manager Craig Benoit, he's all in, and not only do we agree on this one, but we're in pretty hard on this one. And I like the fact that those cattle at Duff's are stout. They're big bodied. They're good doing, easy doing kind of cattle. This one also had kind of a freak neck.
Kind of.
Certainly maybe very sexy female. How's that?
Huh.
Very.
I also need to interject here. So Dale gives me the address because I had never been to Duff's place. And so me, being the person I am, I'm always early. So I go to this little address and I call him and I said, "Sir, this is clearly not where I'm supposed to be." Anyway, we get
And
to
I
the
did
right
find humor in that, by the way.
We get to the right place, and the secretary over at the other place had called and said, Hey, I think Ryan Rash is in our parking lot.
She had no idea why you would be there.
She was very excited, but go ahead.
I believe that was Katie. She good girl, very good girl, helpful all the time. So we look at the heifer she sells, I don't know, a week or so later, and we end up purchasing the heifer. And Ryan takes claim of this heifer just pretty much immediately. I think you did prior to the purchase.
Yes,
so now,
before you ever bought it.
Yes, so now we have a battle, my wife.
Actually, what I told you, Dale, is if you're not going to buy this female, I need to know because I am going to find someone to purchase her.
That is an accurate statement. So once we get her purchased, my wife has a name from, I believe it was an old childhood movie. I'm not sure where it is, but she was very set that this heifer needed to be named Red Sonja.
And that sounds like something from China.
And I can't agree more. Very communist sounding. I agree. But I was trying to respect that until what, Ryan?
I had the heifer named. People don't like, people are going to learn too much about me today, and that's okay. But like, I really am the weirdest person in the world when you get to know me. And like, my dreams are nuts. And I had a dream about the heifer, and that's where the Jessica Rabbit name came.
On the record, that is a perfect name for this one. Absolutely perfect.
I'm just saying.
Maybe the younger generation doesn't know Jessica Rabbit.
I don't know, but they'll find out. And the other thing that I want to tell about this story here is so, like, y'all can say whatever, but like, so we look at the heifer. I could have taken 3 minutes at looking at the heifer and been like, okay, done, let's go. We then proceed for 5 hours.
It was not 5 hours.
To drive around in pastures looking at cows. And they were very nice cows, do not get me wrong. It was a very impressive herd of Angus and Red Angus cows. I am not dissing that. I am not a person that likes to drive around in pastures and look at cows because I can't put a halter on a cow and like get it all pretty and trot it into an arena. So there is nothing for me in this, but Travis is a very good looking man and he's very charming. So I made it through.
Travis is the herdsman manager.
Uh-huh.
Yes. No, you didn't complain at all. I was somewhat unaware that it was as painful for you, that this is not in your wheelhouse, but and it wasn't 5 hours. It was probably an hour.
I don't think so.
And I enjoyed that.
I did get to see a windmill extremely up close.
You did. I enjoyed that part as much as looking at the sale heifers.
Of course you did.
That was good. I mean, you need to go study. Yeah, that was good. I don't even know if that's a story, but when we talk about on the hunt, it's out searching for show livestock or breeding livestock, and that's what we're going to talk about today. With that said, that counts for one for me, right?
Yes, that is yours.
Awesome. I can maybe get another couple in there, but I don't know. We'll try. So as of right now, I don't know what the heifer's name is. I refer.
The heifer's name is Jessica Rabbit.
God,
Holly's just gonna have to like admit defeat here. I love her, but like I'm going to get this win. And the cold hard facts of this is that when Katie shows her whatever, the first time something good happens, I'm going to post on Facebook about Jessica Rabbit, and 4,000 million people are going to recognize that for Jessica Rabbit, and Holly has lost.
I cannot disagree with that.
So,
and I can do my best to stay out of it, and then that works even better yet.
Exactly. So,
perfect.
I mean, there it is.
Perfect.
Chase is on my side, so I don't.
He is. He's on board. Give us a story, Ryan. Okay. I'm waiting. I'm looking forward to listening to this.
I've got several, but probably one of the funniest ones. And again, it wasn't the finding this heifer was funny, but the after part is funny too. So most of you know I was very active showing purebred Simmental cattle as a junior exhibitor, and first junior national I went to, I was reserve grand, and then I had this string of 3 years where I was third overall. And I was getting very angry, very angry about being third overall every time. So
you don't think that's a big accomplishment?
Yeah, the first time it was fun.
Okay.
So I was going to win, Dale.
Got it. Win. You like to win by any chance? Do you enjoy that part?
So we go out and we found this one heifer. Her name was Red Rose, and probably one of the best heifers I ever showed. Anyhow, so we had her. But Simmental Junior Nationals allows you to take 2 heifers to the show, and it was going to be in Spokane, Washington. So we felt like Rose needed a companion with her on the way, all the way there. So,
And that seems logical. Doesn't that seem like a good idea?
I mean, So we go and we're searching, and we hear about this heifer, and I get to Berwick, Illinois, and we go to one barn and she's not there. And we go to another barn, she's not there. Finally, the third barn, we find her. She's a nice heifer. She's not as good as Rose, but she's a nice heifer. I'm going to assume that day that the heifer was in the best mood of her life, or she might have been sedated. I don't know. But she was considerably nicer that day when I studied her for the first time than she ever was the rest of her life. We'll just put it that way. We got Bertha home, and she was literally a raging you-know-what. She hated life. She hated me. She hated anybody that worked on her. She just was not a very nice cow. John Ben would always come to the barn, and so he did not want to buy another heifer because we had spent a lot of money on the one heifer. And he did not understand the point is nothing we can find or have found is going to beat this one, so why do we need another one? He thought that was wasting money. So he already disliked Bertha from the very beginning. Anyhow, we go to Spokane, and she's just really a bitch. I mean, the heifer, is mean. She's uncooperative. Long story short, all the guys that were on the crew, John Ben, my brother, they're standing over there. Bertha won her division, and so did Rose. So we had 2 of them out there in Champion Drive. Of course, I'm showing Rose, and I got some poor, I don't know, innocent bystander to try to hold on to Bertha in the Grand Drive. I did thank them profusely. But when Rose got slapped grand champion at the Simmental Classic, John Ben looks at everybody and says, I told Ryan we didn't need that black bitch.
That's simple.
Yeah. So Bertha ended up 3rd overall, and she got let out in the pasture as soon as we got home. But that's probably one of my favorite stories about John Ben and his purchasing.
You be nice. He purchased you a lot of animals.
No, I agree wholeheartedly.
Could you even throw a number out there?
No, we're not going to. My mother does not like it. My mother has heard. My mom doesn't listen to the podcast because she gets angry that everybody listens.
I wonder why she gets angry.
And that I share too much personal information probably. But she has heard from some people that I have talked about the amount of money that we have spent on show projects. And she does not like that.
What about
She does not dispute that it happened, but she does not like it. So we're going to leave a number alone.
I hope she's not heard about all the other things you say.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, let's be thankful she doesn't. I don't know that she wouldn't listen. I think finding the podcast is the issue, assumably.
She listens to the ones with guests.
Got it. Okay. No. We don't have a lot of those.
No, she listens to those because she thinks that I'll be on better behavior if there's a guest.
And I, in general, would agree with that. Unless it's Blaine. That was terrible behavior.
No, it could have been way worse. I wouldn't let me.
Terrible behavior.
It could have been way worse. Way worse. Way worse.
Oh, my. Okay, I've got a story, and this one, I don't know. I guess it's impactful in my life or my family's life. It involves the birth of Holly and I's youngest son, Chase. Ryan, you'll like this. You and Chase are kind of buddies.
We are buddies. We went and watched the duck slide at Louisville, and I told Chase on the way there, Chase, this is how much I like you. I would not go do this with anybody else. And he's like, it's going to be so good. I was like, okay. But yeah,
and it was good, Chase. Wasn't it? Those little ducks, they get up there and about break their neck before they slide down. Mm-hmm. It's entertaining. You cannot deny that.
Yep, I was moved.
Did the duck slide in Louisville? You could tell stories about that all day long. All day long. Okay, so we're going to go back to a trip that Holly and I made many years ago. I would guess now that Chase is 16, approximately 16 years ago. We're searching for show pigs. And this was for a close family friend of Holly and I's in Oregon. So we decided, I don't know, I assume it was a weekend, that we were going to hit several operations in Indiana and then finish up with a couple show pig operations here in Illinois. So we get up crazy early to head to Indiana, go through hundreds of show pigs, and not because we had to do it, but we truly enjoy going out and searching for those. It's entertainment almost for me. It's like going on a vacation. So we go through these operations in Indiana, and at the time, Holly was very far along in gestation with Chase. So we had to have a doctor's appointment scheduled about that time. So we thought it would be convenient. We scheduled the doctor's appointment between the Indiana stops and the Illinois pig stops. So I believe it was in Champaign. We detoured just a little bit to Champaign to go to the doctor to make sure everything's fine. We're within 2 or 3 weeks of giving birth, or Holly is, I should say. So we're going for that checkup. Everything seems fine. No real issues there. And we're back on our way. The only thing the doctor says, he says, everything seems to be progressing great. Just rest, relax, take it easy. Don't stress anything between now and then. All's going well. I'm not sure if that included driving around the country. I think we left at 4 a.m. and the doctor's appointment was early afternoon, and we still had several stops to make. So we continue through Illinois and hit 2 or 3 more places. We get home pretty late that night. I didn't put a lot of thought into it, but driving around in a truck with a popper in the back for that many hours, that late in pregnancy, Ryan, what do you think that did?
Early arrival of my buddy Chase.
Yes, it was. It wasn't a matter of a couple hours when we got home, and Holly says, I don't know, but I think I'm starting contractions. I said, no, you just had a long day. It's fine. Just go back to sleep.
You used your doctor skills once again.
Yes, I did. And it wasn't very long after. And I'll tell you, I believe we get to the hospital, and I mean, Chase was pretty much out as soon as we got through the door at the hospital. But so I don't know that there's a lot of entertainment value in the story, but if you want to try to schedule a certain delivery date, I think it works. It seems to be effective within that last 3 weeks or so.
We are so glad that Dr. Dale Hummel has now given us information on how to alter the birth date of your children.
How to induce labor.
That's lovely.
I mean, we could use some oxytocin. We could do some other things, but this seemed to work.
More natural.
Yes, and in full disclosure, neither one of us even really thought about that being. It wasn't on the radar. Did not think that was going to induce labor by any means. Probably should have thought more about it. We found some good pigs, by the way.
Well, that's good.
Very good pigs. Very, very good.
Well,
do you have another story deep down there that you can find?
Yeah, one of my favorite stories because it's just so bizarre. But
Ryan, most of your stories are bizarre.
Yeah,
most.
But this one's. This will tell you exactly how crazy we were when we were buying show steers and cattle for me as a child. So my steer that won the Houston Livestock.
Your mother is not going to like this one.
I'm not going to give dollar amounts, okay? Calm down.
All right.
So my steer that won the Houston Stock Show in 1994 his name was Kahlua. And anyway, he was a purebred red limousine steer. And before everybody freaks out, I want to say he was a purebred. He was not a full blood, but back then, to classify, the rules had to be purebred. I'm sure he wasn't exactly 100%, but he's pretty much purebred red limmy. And so we bought him out of the sale.
Pretty much purebred. What does that exactly mean?
I'm not saying never did a DNA test on him, Dale. I don't know if he was could be paper. Well, he probably could have been paper. But anyway.
I'm going to cut through all the cloudiness there. It is my impression by what you're telling me is that it was sold to you as a purebred limousine, but you knew differently. Suspected
I don't know.
Yes, you do. You're more intelligent than that. You do. You do know.
Maybe. Whatever.
Okay. All right. Continue.
He classified. He won. Move on. Next.
And that is all. That's all they have to do is classify. So it's fine. It's perfectly legal.
We buy him out of the sale. We take him home, and this was the second year that we slick sheared. This is what he was bought for. It was the second year we slick sheared cattle in Texas.
And the first year was a train wreck. Yeah.
Well, and again, a lot of people won't realize this, but when we had hair in Texas, only black cattle won. Only. That was it. We had all these other breeds, and they got to win the breed, but basically they were just ornamentation in the Grand Drive. If you weren't black, you weren't going to win.
And I remember going through the barns at Houston and watching that, and I would have told you there's 100 great ones there when they were black and in hair.
Right. And so when we slick shared that first year, black ones won still because they were 75% of the show. But
Ryan, they were not good as a group.
No,
I'm not trying to pick on the
good.
champion that year or the reserve, but as a group, they were not good.
But at Houston that year, when we the first year that we shared them off, I had another red limousine steer from this same breeder that I bought Clure from the next year. But anyway, we shaved him off, and I was like, that's the best steer in the barn. And everybody just says, no. I was like, yep, he is. So we shaved all ours off right after Fort Worth so we could figure out where we were going with the rest of these. And I noticed that the colored ones, not only my colored ones, but other colored ones look better. Now, nobody really caught on to this theory, but we buy this calf and take him home, and then we're continuing shopping. And we go to Steve Bottom's place. I'll just tell you, we go to Steve Bottom's place, and he's got a ton of them that are good and all this other stuff. And he had auctioneered the sale where we bought this red Lemmy. And so we're wheeling and dealing, and the people that were in charge decided that they were going to trade my Lemmy steer Kahlua for in on this deal of these ones that we bought at Bottom's place. I was not happy.
Your favorite steer.
Right, I was not happy.
You did not kick and scream and throw a fit?
Oh, yes, I did. Oh, this story gets better. Hold on. So a few weeks later, I'm like, yeah, I'm not having this. So we buy the steer back from Bottom.
At a higher, we're not talking
at
about
a higher
money.
price. Yes, at a higher price. We go to a show real early, like the very first of April. Steer wins the Lemmies. He doesn't do anything else. A family comes up, wants to buy the calf, and again, they sell him. I am not happy. We go to a show in June, and that steer is at this show in June. And I literally grabbed my parents and everybody that was working for me. I said, okay, this is what's going to happen. Either y'all go get my calf and pay. I don't care what you pay for it. You write a check. I know those are small children over there, and they're going to be very upset they're losing their steer. Y'all are all going to be way more upset if y'all have to listen to me for the rest of this year. I want my calf back now. And they went over there, and I went into their stalls and took my steer back and these kids were little. Like, they were like 10 and 9, maybe 11 and 9. And like, they're crying. I didn't care. And my steer never left again. But I literally bought this steer 3 different times.
I would like to know, maybe off camera, you'll tell me just how much that one ended up costing you.
Did I tell you the steer won Houston?
Yeah, and it probably paid back, but they still had caps. Did they have caps on the sale money back
You
then?
also know, Dale, that if I had to pick one steer show in the world to win, it would have been Houston. So it's fine.
Did they have, out of curiosity, did they have caps back then on how much the kids got? I don't remember how far back that goes.
I was the first year of a cap.
That is terrible.
No, I think it was second. I think it was the second year of cap.
Terrible.
Yeah, it was a bad deal, but it was still a lot of money. But I did inform everyone for months and months after that. Thank God for me, because I won Houston.
I can only imagine that you would remind them of that.
Mm-hmm, I did a lot.
Including your mother.
Everyone. Like, if they would have had Facebook back then, it would have been on there every day for like a year. I was very proud of myself.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That is a good story, and I really would like to know. And you probably don't remember exactly, but how much he cost initially?
I
and
do.
how much
All
he
3
bumped.
price tags. Yeah, I remember. No.
I don't understand. I am a little shocked once you bought him that he just that he left the.
They did not think a 14-year-old should be in charge. Okay.
Well, they should not have bought him if they didn't like him to begin with.
I'm just saying.
I assume they were just questioning his color.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nobody argued that he was good other than that, I hope.
They did not think a limousine steer could win Houston. I kept saying, well, it just happened a few months ago.
I love it. I love it. Well, in honor of we're actually, I had mentioned earlier, there's we're hosting a online goat sale today. And with that being said, I have a goat story, Ryan. A goat story that goes back a long time ago. Not as long as the
Please tell me there's not scripture and watermelon involved in this one. I can't take that one.
We were in the north. No scripture, no watermelon.
Okay.
I do enjoy watermelon very much, and it's kind of my favorite food come summertime, but not involved in this one. So Holly and I, when we decided to come back into the livestock side, I was teaching and coaching, and we were raising exotic felines, and we thought, well, we need to expand so our children can be involved in exactly what we talk about every day. So we thought, well, let's start them out. Sounds like a great thing. Let's get a goat. At that time, there were not many goats being shown in the north, not many goats being sold in the north. And we find a goat sale. We go to the goat sale. Holly and I are off to a goat sale, going to buy a goat for our children to show. Well, I really don't know for sure what the goat judges want a goat to look like, but I think, well, Holly
Can
and
I interject here?
You may.
I think for the first 10 years, nobody that judged goats knew what they wanted them to look like. At least not in Texas.
No, I would agree with that. So I just fall back on, let's make them look like good livestock. And my wife was better at that, and our manager was better than I was. I was still trying to figure out what a goat was supposed to look like. And Ryan's statement is so accurate. I could try all I wanted, but there was no consensus. So thankfully, Craig and Holly were just focused on good livestock. Well, we get to the sale, and I find a goat, Ryan. Again, first time I've probably ever looked at baby show goats, ever. But I find one that I'm just pretty convinced this is the one. My wife agrees with me. So sounds good so far, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
All going, usually you don't agree and you're arguing over which one we're going to buy and things. Nope, we're both focused in one goat that we like at the sale. Boom, done. So the goat enters the ring, or he's up for sale, and I proceed to bid on the goat. I didn't discuss with my wife what we were going to pay for the goat. I didn't think he'd probably cost that much, so we just buy him. Seems very simple. And I don't like spending money, but I wasn't overly concerned. The goat gets up to $1,500, and I have the bid on the goat. And I get a look from my wife like, I've just committed the worst sin there's ever been.
Did you say 1,500?
1,500, and she is about to kill me. I mean, very, very, very angry. So I stop. I know where I'm at. I stop. Somebody buys the best goat I've ever seen in my life at that time for $1,600. So it goes from her being very angry that I bid $1,500 to me being very angry. I let somebody else have that really good goat for $1,600. I was so angry, Ryan, when we got home, I made her sleep on the couch for a week.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't believe that last part of it, but
no, it might be inaccurate. But I guess the whole point of it is this was, I'm gonna throw a number out there, probably 10 years ago. It had to be longer than that, actually. It was a while ago, considered probably 15 years ago or more. Goats weren't bringing a lot of money back then. And obviously that whole thing's changed, and there's goats in the north, and they've become very popular. And at this point, I think if we can get a really good show where they're bought for $1,500, we're usually jumping up and down and pretty darn excited about it. But in all reality, in prices, and I have sales that sometimes they bring a lot of money, period. And prices have jumped up there. And I can blame Ryan for a lot of this. He pushed those steer prices so high it spilled over into some of the other species. But
everything is my fault.
It is interesting that things continue to change. And even if it was 15 years ago, other species were bringing quite a bit of money even then. But it just, I think it was a fact that just it was a goat, and there weren't many goats being shown. And in hindsight, I should have bought the goat, shouldn't I, Ryan?
Sir, I'm going to say two things about the story. Number one, I am very glad Holly was not with us when we found Jessica Rabbit, because if she was angry over $1,500, I don't even know what she said about my heifer's price tag.
Kid, we're not talking about that price tag.
I know. I didn't say. I'm just saying. Number two, we bought goats when they first came to the United States, like the very first year, like the first year they ever showed them. I showed one.
The boar cross.
My goat cost way more than $1,500.
Yes. You bought when they were still I guess I'd call it a novelty, where they were stupid high. Stupid high. Like higher than today. High.
Yes. My goat cost way more than $1,500.
And nobody was upset about that, were they?
Oh, no, because they thought they were going to make millions.
How did that work out?
We had them like 3 years, I think.
Millions?
No, millions. No. I did win the state fair. Yay for me.
That's more important than millions. Winning.
Yeah.
Remember, you like to win.
Yeah, well, I didn't really want to show the goat, but I didn't have much choice. So,
Okay, your turn.
okay, so this is your story leads. I mean, I wasn't planning on doing this one next, but it's a good lead up to it. So, talking about you and your wife being mad at a sale. Well, and again, I am a little disappointed for the children of this generation because. And while online sales have drama and whatever, because extended bidding goes, for 1,900 hours and all this other stuff, there really is something to experience at a live auction when it's like very competitive and all this other stuff. And there were a handful of Texas steer sales that's all they did was sell steers because it's a big thing in this state. And like those live auctions would get intense. And so I think everybody needs to experience that once. I experienced it way too much, and it'll probably shorten my life. But
no, I think we could almost do a whole episode on that because that is a lost part of this whole business. That I'm not saying it's lost because they still exist, but not
I mean,
like
it was like and just like you said, how mad you got when you didn't buy it or whatever. Like it would almost be like winning or losing the show when you got one purchased or didn't get one purchased.
You would get that same kind of
It was that same kind of
adrenaline.
feeling.
Yes, absolutely. And this whole the hunt, the whole search, that you get that feeling. I mean, you're just so excited to go find that one, and when you find it, I'm not so sure it's not as good or better maybe than when you win, but probably not. But it's pretty darn good.
So we were at a steer sale, and I was young. I was probably 10, and John Ben did not like. He liked the guy, the man, the husband of this steer selling couple. He did not like the woman at all. And I'm not going to give names, and what complicates this further is Cherie was a big fan of this lady. So we're at this steer sale, and there's a steer there that I want. And John is like, Ryan, we can find better ones. I was like, I don't know. I like this one. And the people that were working for us at the time, they're like, I think we need to buy this one. And of course, since Cherie was buddies with this lady, she's like, we're buying this steer. John Ben, not a fan, wasn't keen on that.
Okay, time out. I get to know Cherie better all the time, and even getting to know her better by listening to you talk about your mother. It is far more important, that relationship she has with that person, than anything about the animal. Would that be accurate?
By far and away.
That trumps everything.
God, yes.
Everything.
It has nothing. There is no reality, no facts, no nothing. If she likes you, that is all that matters.
Oh,
period.
My.
And she doesn't like me. So, I mean, and I don't blame her, but I'm just saying. But, yeah, no. And so it comes time, and of course... And again, I don't know if this pretty much at these sales, you let one or two go in before the big lot so people are warmed up and all this other stuff. So this calf was third one in the sale. And normally the ones that they think are going to bring the most money are like in that third, fourth, top five. But they don't ever want them to go first because they need a little warm up. So me being the manipulative child that I am, I did not think that even with all my charm, I could convince John Ben to buy this calf because he really did not like this woman. Like, really did not like this woman. So, John Ben is on one side of the sale ring, and he always wanted to hide in the back because he wasn't going to let anybody else bid for him, but he also didn't want the large crowd to see him bidding because then he thought that he would get run. And people don't know what I mean by run, they'd be like, oh, that's John Ben Caraba bidding, so we're going to, make the price go up. I don't know if that ever happened, but he was convinced that it did. So he would always hide somewhere. So I take Cherie off. I'm like, Mom, we have to have this steer. And she's like, I know, but I just don't think it's a buyer. It's like, well, you do have a buyer's number.
Oh, this is bad.
So we cannot see John Ben from where we are. And so anyway, bidding goes out, and first there's a whole bunch of people bidding. Well, then it gets down to 3, and you know how they go back and forth. They say whatever price, and then you and whatever. Well, it gets down to 2, and we don't know this at the time, but John Ben and Cherie are bidding against each other.
That's perfect. I need them at my sales. I need
Yep.
them.
And so the auctioneer starts laughing. And what's so funny? And so finally he just said, I can continue this, but y'all have been bidding against each other the whole time. So why don't we just say Ryan's going to get his calf?
This was during the auction.
Live on the microphone.
And what did you think of that?
I didn't care. I ran back to go put on my steer. John Ministry had a very intense conversation.
I'm going to take the side of John Ben on this one. I'm gonna.
Very, very intense conversation. And I chose to ride home in the truck and trailer with the fitters and the new calf instead of in the Mercedes with those two people. It's I'm just going to ride with my cow.
And you chose to manipulate the fact that your mother liked those people.
I have never claimed to be anything different than what I am. I try to get my way all the time.
You are very transparent about that.
I was a terrible child. I am a much better adult. I was a god-awful child.
No, you had said it once. You, as an adult, well, maybe you're better, but as an adult, your parents bribe you to behave as best you can.
Yes, and I do very well at it.
And it works to a certain degree.
Yes, I do very well at it.
And
I'm telling you, I have never claimed, I have never claimed to be anything than what I am. I wanted my way. I wanted to win. I wasn't there to make friends. I wasn't any of that. I did not care. I was the person that went to the show to win. Everything else did not matter. Well, you have to buy them to win. So that
no, this is not good. This is carried over into your adult life. This is not good because now, if I'm gonna, and I hope I'm not speaking out of turn here. Winning now is still to obviously get your way with what you would like to get. And I get all that. But I think that you spend a lot of time being nice to your mother when you normally would rather not, maybe is the best way to put it. Because you tolerate your mother because there's a trust fund there. I think you love your mother to death. But
thank you. That's what I just wanted to make that clear.
No question. But that doesn't mean you wouldn't like to argue with her and make her life very difficult. Very, very difficult.
Yes, and I do try to not do that as much as I was a child because I was the extremely I don't feel bad about things, but I look back at things now.
I feel bad for your mother. I feel bad for her.
I realize how difficult of a child I was. Okay. No, your story. Quit talking about me. Your story.
Fair enough. I'm running. I got maybe. Yeah. All right. I'll talk about.
I have two more.
I can find two more somewhere in the depths. I'm going to talk about Texas, Ryan, and it probably include the Bible and watermelon and grasshoppers and all kinds of things. Okay, many years ago. When
I'm just saying, I bought more show animals in Texas than you did, and I never got watermelon or Bible verses or spirituals.
You weren't from the north.
I think they knew those weren't going to work on me.
No, they weren't. They weren't going to work. So prior to getting in the goat business, my wife and I, and even our manager Craig was with us at the time, working part time here while he was going to college. So when we decided, after showing Weather Goats our first year, that, okay, we're gonna jump in the livestock business. We knew this 4, 5, 6 years prior. We just didn't know what species or multiple species or what it was going to be. So for some reason, we landed on goats. And I'm going to say it was done because of the opportunity that I saw there. Obviously, they'd exploded in Texas, very popular in Oklahoma, not so much up here, but no question it was coming. And if we could promote it or help promote that up here a little bit, it's going to come that much faster and that much harder. So once we decided we're going to breed goats, kind of like you, Ryan, we want to find the best, period. So we start searching in every...
And I'm going to say there's nothing wrong with that, people.
No, that's a good thing. That is a good thing. My wife is a very competitive person. I consider myself to be a little bit competitive at times. We end up going every time we're searching for goats. We're trying to find every goat breeder we can find that we think might have a genetic piece that would be of value. We're turning over rocks in the southwest Texas trying to find a damn goat. We cover as many goat breeders as we physically can. We spend nearly 2 years, 2 or 3 trips a month into Texas. I mean, every time we had a 48 plus hour opening, we would either get on a plane or drive to Texas. Let's go look at goats. And we looked everywhere. literally everywhere. Finally, we keep going back to Kelly Meat Goats. They were, I don't know, at that time, I still didn't know what a goat was supposed to look like. And I had said this before. Thankfully, Holly and Craig were just fine, good livestock. Boom. Good livestock continued to show up at one place, and it was Kelly Meat Goats. Every single place we went, we could find some good ones, but consistently, here's where they were. Not only that, they had been lined up so tight, and they were very, very protective of their genetics. Not many of those had gotten out on the breeding side. They shut their bucks down. They didn't sell any does at that time, and it was all right there. So in an ideal world, I would just buy 10 of his best does, pay a stupid amount of money, try to have access to a couple bucks. I'm ready to go. I can build from there. Mike Kelly is way too smart to just sell me a few, because that basically what he's held on to so tight for so long, he has just sold. He says, I'm not interested. A year later, and we continue to go down there looking, and we build our relationship with Mike and his family. And we're on vacation in Florida, and he calls up and says, okay, I'll sell the goats. And I'm thinking, well, this is great, but I'm selling them all, and for a very, very, very large dollar amount. We ended up sending our manager, Craig, at the age of 12, 19, I don't know, very young, down there to do the negotiating. We were off on vacation back before we had goats. And shortly after we get this all done, we load up as a family, head down there, Holly and I and our 4 kids. And we get down there, and I believe that Kelly's, we had agreed to selling a few mature does and maybe some yearling does or doe kids in one of their weather sales. I don't remember all the exact details, but there's a sale going on. We get there the day before with our kids. And Ryan, we have grasshoppers in Illinois. I'm sure you've seen grasshoppers in Texas, right?
Yes, I hate
Maybe
them.
some people call them locusts. I don't know what
They are not locusts.
No, locusts are the things that make noise that hang on the trees here every night in the fall, but I don't know. Anyway, we get down there, and this was very odd to me. I walked through a little portion of grass between a couple buildings, and it was just like a plague. I mean, there were thousands of them, and I didn't think that much of it, and it's just odd. We don't experience that up here. And I'm not talking just a couple. I literally thousands in a few square feet. For some reason, our youngest children, Chase and Katie, were with me, and they just went into panic mode. And these are pretty much animal bug kids. They go catch snakes and catch all kinds of things. But some reason these grasshoppers just creep them out. And until this day, Chase tells me the other day, he comes down and getting ready for school, said, Dad, I had a nightmare. And I knew what he's talking about. The grasshoppers, absolute grasshoppers. In the same trip, Ryan, our oldest son, Dylan, I don't know what you call it. Do you call it, there's something down there, cactus fruit, something you can eat off the cactus. You probably wouldn't
Really?
know. Yeah,
you can eat something off a cactus?
There is. Well, at least my oldest son thought there was, and he was much younger at the time. So he proceeds to try to eat a cactus. And I bet it took 2 hours of Holly picking those cactus needles out of his tongue. It was
That's
unbelievable.
a bad idea.
So that, not a very good story at all, but those grasshoppers and cactus needles, that was my one of my children's first experiences in Texas. And
Well,
they
I don't
still are
blame
willing to go
Chase.
back, but it's bad.
I don't blame Chase for having nightmares about grasshoppers. I mean, they don't freak me out quite that bad. However, if he is ever in Texas and experienced June bugs, he'll have worse nightmares. But anyway.
I assume they just come in by the hordes.
No. And so I have a lot more stories, but I'm going to give one more because in case this is popular and we ever have to do this again, I don't want to, giving away the whole farm, as they say. But again, this will let people know how bad of a child I was. But anyway.
This is great. Just great.
Yeah. So when my brother graduated, which I've alluded to this before, Randy showed he didn't really care for it. He didn't hate it. He didn't love it. It was fine. He did it. But he was not literally eaten up with it in like every breath he took was about winning like I was. And like when I slept when I wasn't sleeping at night, I was figuring out how to win more. Yeah, it wasn't like that. So my parents subscribed to the theory that the oldest child should get the best animals because that they're older. I do not subscribe to that theory, and it bothered me greatly, but I didn't have a choice. So when Randy graduated, I guess the whole thing is Randy would always get the black steers and all the, more expensive ones that they thought could win the show. They knew that I had to be competitive and I had to have a chance to win the whole show, because if the life would just be hell if I didn't. So their solution for this was that they would have me show breed steers that very rarely got to be Grand Reserve overall, but could. So I showed a lot of Shorthorns. I showed a lot of Lemmies. And I know people will flip out and die, but Charolais at the time when we had hair were one of those breeds. They got looked at, but they really didn't win a whole lot. Yeah, I know. People won't believe me, but this is true. So Randy graduates, and they sit me down, and they're like, okay, it's all you. No more breed steers, no more messing around. It's all you. We're just going to, anything you want, we're going to get it. So this first year we're out buying, looking and stuff. And people, it's hard to understand, because we have so many major shows, but we were also in the process of buying during these major shows. Animals were being sold. So you'd go to Fort Worth, run up to Oklahoma, look at steers, go back to Fort Worth Open Show, whatever. It was chaos. Well, again, we're at Steve Bonham's house, and there's all these steers, and we're trying to get several of them, and there's this one Hereford steer. And I have decided that the Hereford steer is by far the best steer on the place, and I am in love with the Hereford steer, and I am going to take the Hereford steer home with me. And everybody, John, Ben, and Shreve were not there, and Fetters were, and they're like, hey, yeah, we're not buying a Hereford. I'm like, yeah, we are. And they're like, no. And even Bonham was like, you don't need a Hereford steer. I was like, does he have a price tag, sir?
Oh,
anyhow,
my.
So I called John Ben, and he's like, well, what's going on? I said, well, I don't care what these other people told you. I'm going to tell you what's about to happen. Y'all can buy all those other ones, and that's fine. And we were talking about buying 6 already. This one day.
From Bonham.
But there's yeah.
I said, he did well with your family.
Yeah. I said, there's a Hereford steer here, and I am either staying in Newcastle, Oklahoma, or the calf is coming home to Crockett. Jeez. And he's like, baby, you don't need a Hereford steer. We're trying. It's all you. This is all you've ever wanted. You're the only one in the barn. What are we going to do with this Hereford steer? I said, this Hereford steer is going to win. And he's like, Ryan, Herefords do not win shows. He said, Shorthorns very rarely win shows. Herefords do not win shows. Hour and a half later, and I don't know, everybody was hearing me. So, of course, the price tag on the Hereford was going up exponentially during this, because they knew that I was not going to leave without this calf. Anyway, I did get to take Vinny home, and Vinny is still my favorite show calf I have ever showed, and he did win the Arizona National. So, there you go.
He did win. He's your favorite of all time.
He is my favorite steer of all time.
You know what? Daddy James would be proud to hear that.
And he was probably, we'll say he was Hereford marked, okay? But
Got it.
That KF, I never lost a showmanship contest with that KF. I'm getting teary-eyed just thinking about the damn steer right now. He knew he was good. He loved me. I loved him. It's just my favorite KF ever. And I literally would have probably gone and got a hotel in Newcastle, Oklahoma if they just told me no. I was taking steer home. And so what made the aftermath of this is when we started showing these calves, I had this one Hereford, and I had all these blacks and all this other stuff. And when the Grand Drum came, I would take the Hereford steer in and show. And I never got the judge to vote. He would use one of my other steers, but never my Hereford calf.
Even though you were kind of raising your hand over here, here.
All those out there are mine, and this is the one you need to use. Yep. And John Ben would get so mad. He was like, why are you doing this again? Because one day, somebody is going to fall for my trick, okay?
And I tell you what, if you have pretty much the same exhibitor on the best animals in your Grand Drive, if it's a smaller show and they're going to win, period, would you lean towards the one that
No,
the
I don't,
chooses?
because I like to make fun of them when they pick the wrong one. And it
can
never
see
worked
that.
for me, so no.
If it's relatively close and it isn't going to matter, I will sometimes let the Hereford win.
No,
If
nobody ever let the Hereford win until the final show. And when we went to Arizona, like the biggest, it wasn't a fight, but it was a discussion, was like, do we show him as a Hereford or do we show him as a crossbred? We had a crossbred steer there too. We won the crossbreds too. But I was like, nope, we're going to show him as a Hereford, by God.
Away we go.
Yep. So that is my last story for this time.
But you have more in case we do it again. I have one.
This is popular.
I have one
Dale,
final.
I'm sure Dale has other stories, but before Dale tells his, no, you're done with your stories?
Well, no, I have one for this one.
Well, I do want people to know that Dale is a very honest and person, and he does have several stories, but there's like some non-disclosure agreements involved and all this other stuff. And
Why are
like,
we bringing this up?
So therefore he's honoring that. But like, if he was not as honest a person as he was, then he would like tell the stories that I have heard about, like
Let's
very large sums of money and someone arriving naked in cash. But obviously he won't bring that up.
I can bring up that I did pay $50,000 in cold green cash for half interest in a buck, and I can tell you that at one point I purchased a Gator utility vehicle, and then at that local farm's business area town, and had to give that vehicle, that Gator, to obtain a doe kid that I wanted. And there's lots of things that go around with that, but those are some things
He's
I've done.
not telling the part about how the person literally rolled around naked in the $50,000 in cash.
Okay, let's continue. My final story for today. And
he's
again,
honest, but he's holding back on you people.
My final story. It goes back to Texas, Ryan. It goes back to Texas. A lot of trips to Texas. So during those 2 years that we were searching for those perfect genetics that we wanted to build our base from, we were very persistent, right or wrong. We were going to purchase what we thought were the best and start at the very top. We show up at a farm. A farm I'm sure a lot of people will be aware of these people. We're going to leave the name out again, Ryan, for various reasons.
Mm-hmm.
We go through and look at their doe kids and look at their does. I'll go through all the breeding animals, those things like riding around, Ryan, in that truck looking at cows, that part. Okay, we get all done with that part.
You're real lucky Travis is good looking, is all I'm telling you.
Travis, I apologize. And I'm going to apologize once again to Blaine, just because it brings up that episode again that you were made him very uncomfortable. Okay, back to this. We get done looking at the does and the doe kids' breeding pieces we thought we might be interested in. Well, they thought it maybe would be good to look at their show wethers that obviously were produced by some of these same females that we were looking at purchasing. And this was not Kelly Meat Goats. This was another farm. So we get into the little show pen area, and they gather up one of the show wethers. And normally we look at them, we're not handling them or anything, but it appeared as though they encouraged me to come in and Holly and actually handle this one. They're fairly impressed with this one and thought it would help maybe make the sale on the breeding genetics. All seems logical. Everything's going just fine, right? So it looks like a good goat. Everything, I think, wow, he's a good goat. He's going to handle great, I assume. But I, like you, Ryan, when I go to handle, I mean, I kind of want a fresh, hydrated top. But for the most part, you know what they're going to handle like before you handle them.
Mm-hmm.
And this one was going to handle pretty good. I was wrong.
Oh.
Very, very wrong. This was not good. Not good at all. Do you want to tell me
This
why?
is back to your crunchy lamb syndrome.
Oh, this was my first crunchy goat experience.
Oh, my.
And I'm telling you, I handled that one and I'm thinking, oh, this is, I can't believe, why would they want me to handle this goat right now? He clearly had just been aired recently. And this was the most crunchy time you could possibly handle this animal. And I think it's just one of those things that it's no big deal. And that is very sad that we were at that place that long ago in this industry. But crunch as I'm handling, and I'm thinking, I'm just going to leave it alone. I'm not going to say anything, which is pretty good for me, Ryan. I'm just leaving it alone. But then I start thinking, my wife is standing behind me. And Ryan, she just kind of wears herself right on her sleeve. She just usually just says it, just whatever it is that you rarely don't know what she's thinking. And I'm thinking I need to somehow kind of push her away from handling this animal because it's going to go all wrong. Very, very, very bad when she goes to handle this animal. She's going to, I never discussed, I don't think, airing or crunchy. She's going to do it from an innocent standpoint, saying, well, there's something wrong with this goat, or who knows what it is, but I could feel it coming. And it was really, anxiety was getting me. It was going to be a very uncomfortable situation. She goes through and handles. In the first time in her life, she made the decision to just leave it alone. She didn't ask. I think it was bad enough that she even knew this was not good. So she did hold that back until we got into the car. And this would be the first time I can ever remember her not just stating it. But I don't know that it's a humorous story at all. I don't know that it's a story we should be proud of as an industry, but it is a story. And it was very eye-opening to me.
Well, at least Holly held her tongue. Very proud of Holly.
When we got in the car.
Because she normally does not.
No, she cut loose in the car, and almost like it was my fault. I said, I did not do anything. She said, well, you didn't say anything about it. You knew what they did, and you didn't say anything. She's saying she didn't know what it was, so she didn't say anything. Yeah, I had a pretty good idea what was going on, but no, I left it alone. Maybe we should leave those crunchy lambs and goats alone on the podcast. Maybe we shouldn't talk about them anymore.
I think you have already gone too far on that. So, like, there's no putting that genie back in the bottle, sir.
No, it's on Wikipedia. I Googled it the other day. Crunchy lambs. It was there.
I'm just saying.
Well, I'm good with storytelling, Ryan. I think we maybe, I guess we thank Mr. Boxell for the topic idea, and maybe we'll come back to it again someday. I am not very comfortable, or I shouldn't say not very. I'm not very good at telling stories, but so the next one might just be all you.
Oh, lovely.
We could tell lots and lots of stories, but I can progress into question and answer.
Hold up. Before we do that, I do want to highlight one more national BTR Jelly sponsor, our sheep sponsor, Platinum Shelton Livestock. And the goal at Platinum Shelton Livestock, is to focus on elite ewe families to consistently produce high-end sheep for our customers that can go out and compete everywhere from the county fair to state and national level. These are great people. I've talked to them several times. They were on board early to sponsor the BTRJLA, and we really appreciate Platinum Shelton Livestock for their contribution to our organization this year.
Thank you. It is greatly appreciated, and it just keeps coming, Ryan. I am overwhelmed by the support that individuals and businesses have chosen to give to this association and to the youth, basically. So thank you. A question from Anna. It's a very long question, a lot of back information.
Oh, great. I love the long questions the most.
As you were telling one of your stories, I went ahead and just deleted a large portion of it because it was longer than needed.
That's nice that you weren't listening to my stories, Dale, that you were focused on question and answer. I appreciate it.
Well, because I did not pull these up in advance and I was running a little behind, but I've got it. I did listen. I was multitasking.
Right.
So my question, or even an episode topic from Anna, is stall decor and herdsmanship. How important do you feel is decorating the stalls to help draw in or promote your livestock/farm, and the importance of herdsmanship beyond the fact of stay out behind the animals so they can relax? I'm not sure about that last part, but decorating your stalls.
I am the absolute wrong person to ask this to. So, since this goes with the topic, the story time, the very first time that I was showing junior heifers, but we got into this semi thing big, and so we were going to do the open show too and all this other stuff, and so we go to Kansas City, and I don't remember. I loaded the cattle. I didn't load the tack, and so anyway, Cherie had gone out and spent an obscene amount of money on signs and curtains and foliage and chairs and all this stuff.
Time out. And you did not approve of this in hindsight.
No. I mean, like, literally, we started loading at the show. I'm like, what is all this shit? And there were lights and anyway, it took like 3 hours just to set up and arrange Cherie's nonsense. And let me add, Cherie was not there to do this. And long story short, I looked at everybody on my crew, and then you went from Kansas City straight to Louisville, pretty much.
You're hauling it all.
And I just looked down and said, I'm just telling y'all right now that we're not doing this again. It's not happening. And they're like, well, your mom's going to be mad. I said, I will handle her. She can either come set this stuff up herself in Louisville or it's not happening. So while I do appreciate the effort that goes into it, I do think it looks very nice. Like Dale's wife, Holly. Congress had a very nice setup and lots of stuff.
Why do you say my wife, Holly? I helped set that up.
Yeah, I bet you didn't pick any of it out.
Craig and Tristan helped set that up. We all helped.
I bet you didn't pick any of it out. But anyway, I think it's a less is more thing because I think you want your animals, whatever species it is, to speak for themselves and not to be distracted by all the bells and whistles of the setup. So I'm probably not the person to say, oh, yes. I mean, and y'all know that I am like way out there with fashion and loud and all this
Sparkly
stuff.
kind of draws you
Sparkly,
in.
yeah. I don't think it works at the stall
I think this
area.
is more about you showing more. And not that you didn't. I guess you showed plenty of breeding animals too. But it was not for you. It was not as much about building a breeding operation as it was winning.
No,
with
because
your
I
steer
wasn't
or
selling
heifer.
any of my stuff to anybody.
No.
They tried. I was like, no.
Yours was all about winning, and that played zero role in it. If anything,
No, because
it
that was
took
3
away.
hours I could have been working hair.
Yes, and if anything, that doing all of that took away from your goal. So I can see
Exactly.
you being totally out on it.
Yes, I was.
Completely out.
The most.
And if you're just showing market animals or not trying to build a brand or a presence or a name recognition, whatever, I'm probably with Ryan. Just do whatever makes the animals comfortable, and I'm not worried about the rest. If you're in a situation where you're in a breeding operation trying to promote that operation, I don't know that you need to go overkill with it, but look neat, clean, professional. I'm good there. It seems like when it's a pin show, some of those pins are decorating more or setting up more things, but you're seeing it more and more, even just in the show stalls, right? Especially obviously the open shows. I don't know as much as individuals that are traveling to say junior nationals, but when it's a breeder that kind of brings them together, if they're allowed to stall together, they'll still make it promotional. And I think that's part of it. But guess what? Just about everybody at those shows already has a pretty formed opinion of you and or your animals, I assume. So maybe it's not making that much of a difference.
Next.
Joanne. I don't know if maybe we've already answered this one. I don't think so. We've covered it, but maybe not in a question and answer. And a lot of these are coming in as topic ideas / question and answer. Opportunities of being on a livestock judging team. I'm a 4-H livestock judging coach and mother of a very successful collegiate team member. And field junior exhibitors need to know the benefits and opportunities associated with being on a team. They need to know the potential for getting to travel, knowledge-based scholarships, job opportunities, networking. The possibilities are endless. Now, Ryan, I think we do an entire episode on it? Collegiate judging, maybe?
I thought we did multiple episodes about livestock judging, but what is the question? I'm like
just the topic / question. We need to acknowledge the incredible opportunities associated with livestock judging teams.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and I get a lot of flack for this. I am a huge fan, supporter of livestock judging. And I think as you can start as early as you can, the better off you are. I think it does great things for all kids. I didn't have a team in high school. We put one together, but really nobody else showed or was involved in livestock. So we just grabbed 3 or 4 other FFA kids and put them on team, whatever. I was quite successful at it, but not in a team deal. I did not judge junior college. I only judged senior college. So that was really my first experience as being on a team of any sort, because I didn't do sports really. I did golf and tennis. That was individual. And so I will say again, the things I learned on being at the judging team at Texas A&M, I don't think any of that really changed who.
Are you going to go down this road to get more hate mail? Are you really going to go there?
But it's just how I feel. I don't think any of it changed how the livestock judge that I became in an actual ring. But I'm telling you, I learned things in that year that I would have never learned and have truly changed my life and made me a much, much, much better and, more importantly, more tolerant person.
You're tolerant. You're tolerant.
I cannot tell you the benefits that I receive and the networking and the connections. And again, when I went on that team at A&M, everybody thought I was a spoiled, stupid, rich little white kid that didn't know anything. They had no idea that I actually had intelligence. And so, again, it changed my life in so many ways. And I think it does it for many kids. And again, I do get flack for this. I don't think what I learned on that team did anything for me about being the judge that I'm going to be. And I think I would have had opportunities to judge shows because of who I was and my parents' involvement in this industry, whether I was on that team or not. So I gained so many different things that most people already had. That's why I'm so appreciative of it too. I think for the large majority of kids, it does just what people recognize it do. It teaches them how to judge all species of livestock when they're probably only familiar with one or two. It does give them opportunities to judge shows if they were competitive, or being on that team alone gives you opportunities to get out in a real ring afterwards. And so much more. So I am a huge, huge supporter of livestock judging at any level. And I can say it greatly impacted my life, and I am very thankful for it. That's why anytime I am asked to help at a livestock judging contest as an official or helping it in classes, I do it without question. I just think the things that I truly am very grateful for that I learned being on a livestock judging team are different than most. And there's nothing wrong with that. Send me hate mail. I don't care.
I want to clarify. You were a spoiled, rich, intelligent kid.
Thank you. I appreciate the intelligent part.
And that is accurate, very accurate. You cannot deny the other part, but I think there was probably a misconception on just how much of a role you had to do with some of the winning is where I would put that until they got to know you. This exact topic, Ryan, there is no question this exact topic, livestock judging in high school, kind of turned the path for me. I was not interested in school. I was not highly academic by any means in high school, junior high, grade school, whatever it is. But once I became involved on the judging team in high school, I made sure everything else was in check. And it is the sole reason why I went to college, in my opinion. I shouldn't say sole, but it was the driving force to get me into college and to go to college. And then once I started, I proceeded on to do graduate work and coach at the University of Illinois, and then took a job coaching for 10 plus years at the college level. And this whole topic area has been a huge part of my life and is the reason that I've had the direction that I've taken in many, many cases. I hope that just like what you're talking about, Ryan, in different ways, I hope those students that I coached, that there was at least some impact there on a positive note, and they were allowed some experiences, and hopefully it's benefited them in life, not just evaluating livestock. But I took an approach that we worked extremely, extremely hard, and I was probably a little old school and a little hard on some of those judging team members. But once we would get done with that contest, whether we were in Houston or Los Angeles or wherever it was, we would try to go. We'd go to Galveston and go deep sea fishing or fishing in the Gulf. We would occasionally venture into Mexico when we're at the Arizona National, or we would do a lot of fun things and expose some of those students to things that maybe they'd never been exposed to or maybe never will again. And I can't begin to put into words the benefits that you can get from these type of things. So no question whatsoever, Joanne, this is huge. You obviously see the benefits, Ryan. You've brought out some that maybe were different than others have had, but it's all encompassing. Excellent, excellent, excellent. I think that was only 2, wasn't it, Ryan? Or was that 3?
Yes, that was only 2.
I have another one. Jennifer, what do you think, or Jennifer would like to know? I'm going to put Ryan in front of this. Ryan, what do you think about showing sheep with the dwarf gene? We bought a county lamb that we're pretty sure is a dwarf. He looks great. He's just very moderate framed and is topped out about 100 pounds. Our county shows by weight only. What do you think?
Well, I probably would not mention to anybody else that you think your lamb has the dwarf gene. Number one. But again, if you're happy with the lamb at the weight that it is, and you think, I mean, you stated it looks great, just go to the county fair and try to win your class. I mean, like, I don't know what else to say. You're in a situation now that you've got this lamb. I doubt you can go get a different one or whatever, but I probably wouldn't advertise that that's what you think. I would just probably be like, we have a really nice 100-pound lamb. But in Texas, I know people get tired of me referring to Texas, but that's where I grew up. That's where we have so many classes at our major shows. And a lot of times when people would come up to me and they would be like, this is the only amount of money. This is what we have to spend. And I would tell them, I said, well, you do realize that I don't think that I can find you a breed champion for that amount of money. But I can find you a class winner, like a lightweight class winner for that. And if that's something you're interested in, that's what I'll try to do. Somebody's got to win class 1 at your county fair lamb show. Somebody got to win class 1 at the AOCs at Houston, etc. So I think you're doing the best with what you got to work with.
Absolutely. And I'm not as well versed as I should be to address the topic of the dwarf gene in
yeah, me neither, but it don't sound good.
No, but I have obviously been exposed to it, and I think, and again, I'm going to be the first to admit I'm reaching here just a little bit. I think the dwarf gene came into play when we tried to bring in more muscle and use maturity or mature muscle mass to an advantage. And obviously, when we do that, we make them slower growing, we make them smaller, we make a lot of things come along with that. But it's present in the lamb industry, or has been the past few years, much more than what people probably realize. With that said, I don't know, good, bad, indifferent, promote it, don't promote it, use it however you can within your program. I'm not even going to go down that path because I really don't know. But I think what Ryan said there, if you have one that's going to mature out at 100 pounds, let's make that one look proportional at that weight and do the best you possibly can, because you're already there. You're in that situation. In the future, maybe when you're buying, maybe that's a question you ask those breeders. Are we concerned if you got one that you see is a little more moderate? Are we concerned this one has a dwarf gene? And where do you think, maybe rather even addressing the dwarf gene, where do you think this one will mature out in terms of a mature weight? And that's going to kind of cover what you need. And again, I don't even know that the dwarf gene in there is a terrible thing by any means. It certainly has some advantages, and I think indirectly we've selected for that years ago because we wanted to stouten them up and we wanted that mature muscle mass. But I'm probably saying way more than I should because I am not involved directly in that side of things. But I do very much agree with what Ryan said. You've got him. He looks good at 100 pounds. Let's just show him at that weight and win that class or try to win that division. Ryan, the stories for the hunt, yours were great.
Thank you.
We probably will do this again at some point. But I can't even sell until next week, until you hear Beyond the Circus, which we are recording this week. Be safe.
Y'all come back now, you hear?